What challenges do you face in making sure that data is useful to you? I mean, I guess you have fewer issues maybe than some who are collecting data to ensure it's clean and intact and usable. But what challenges do you face?
So I guess our biggest challenge is, I think, it's actually figuring out what to do with the data. We do a lot of good things. Meaning, we have plentiful data. We could, we're tracking, as I said, total of something like 100,000 brands and executives, the search results for them, and we're doing that every day, and we're doing that for many, many years. So we have this enormous amount of data. We started out, we never took any investment from any company. I started the company with a 60 website building, other things you can imagine. And we've kept search. We've gone as far as Wikipedia because it tends to be the top thing you see in search in many cases. We're looking at AI in the same way. This is another mode of search. And so that's why we're spending time there to develop very quickly on the technology side, which a lot of venture backs later, we're still kind of figuring out how to slowly move our way into an analysis program and visualization and so on. So we had the luxury of being able to grow slower than other companies did. So you decide to process the data this way, and you decide, maybe you take a provider, or you hire a person who's going to help you on data analysis, and they don't turn out to be as good as you thought, or it doesn't take you where you want. You can sunset their service and move on to the next thing, and without having caused a big uproar in your own company. So I think that slowing things down, this was not very intentional, but this is because we grew slowly because we were not venture backed. So, consulting, the fact that we became good consultants was really interesting, because I think that almost no one in the company actually had a consulting background. I think that might be good, because I think might have been thinking like, how do we maximize the hours? How do we push through this as quickly as possible? And then the technology, what happened was in the natural course of things, as we just looked around us, and we saw in almost every other field that was being upended over the last 10 in so many other ways, and in so many other industries. And it just seemed natural to us to like, what if it was a kind of question we asked, what if you could line up the client and all their competitors and then look for the patterns? And we started by doing it manually. We would just line them up and say, that was like, let's, this startup approach that says we care about every one of these clients because we really need them, they're feeding us. How do we give them everything they want from a consulting perspective? And then marrying that with been really great. We have not used data as I think some of the people in our team thought we might, which is like, great, the data will help the same account manager will be able to handle 10 accounts instead of 4 accounts, because look, the data focused on giving the quality to the client. So I guess we've always maintained that balance between satisfying the client and utilizing data in smart ways.
I often train and coach and develop people in insightful thinking, and I wanted to talk a little bit about insight now. One of the people I remember in an ad agency in London said to me that her definition of insight was the ability to see round corners. What's your approach to extracting genuine insight from the data that you're looking at, the search data that you're looking at?
We're looking at working on our employer brand, and we want people to think, to understand that all these great things we do with these programs that we have, and it seem to be lost. We actually have to do some of that thinking, analysis, and insights. Even I need to know what are the underlying causes. So what I found is that I don't know what the process is. I know that if I take the current situation, let's say the client gives me their name of the keywords that are important to them, and I kind of can size up the issue in terms of like what are people currently seeing. I guess putting it all in front of you and asking questions like, what would I expect to see? Why, asking the questions like, I've been doing this with ChatGPT. It's a really interesting exercise, is that you take a familiar story, and say, okay, given the following story, but not knowing the ending, ChatGPT, tell me what would be the most likely endings. I think that that's a fascinating way of thinking. And I think that way about a client situation. Say, okay, so let's say it makes sense that the client has for their employer brand that they have that their corporate website is at the top, and then that they have their employment website, their job careers at company.com. And then I ask, okay, well, what would I expect to see next? Well, I guess maybe the answer is what is missing? What is the thing? The most interesting thing on the Google results page is the thing that isn't there. The most interesting thing I think in life are the things that that aren't there that are missing. Why is no one doing this? Why is this so when I look at a client situation, I guess what I'm thinking is, what is missing here? What is missing here? What would I have expected to see if I didn't know this? And there's this curse of knowledge that when you see your situation, it's very hard to unsee the situation. But when you go in as a consultant, the first time you see it, if you're smart, you can say, what would I have expected to see? Like even I asked that question to myself, what do I think I'll see? I do this if you look at a Wikipedia page, you can see how many people viewed every Wikipedia page. It's information that's available on every single day. So when I look at it, when someone says to me, "Oh, I have a Wikipedia page," I always ask myself, I want to guess how many people go to this Wikipedia page a day. I think it's 100, and I click in, and I have no way of knowing, and I can oftentimes I'm right, but sometimes I'm just so radically off, and that's so meaningful because if it's 10 people a day, they're like, oh, okay, I have a complete, I have to figure out why would only 10 people a day go to this executive's Wikipedia page. Is it not showing up well? Are they just don't care about them? And then if you see that it's 1,000, you're like, wait, something else is going on here completely. There's far more search than I thought. Maybe this site is coming up. So the same thing when I look at it for insights, I'm thinking, what is missing here? What can I learn from what I don't see? And then start to work through, okay, so why am I seeing what I'm seeing? So it's kind of like question everything and keep thinking about what would the alternate endings and possibilities be. The most interesting insight we have for brands, and this applies to so many different brands, is why is it when I look at your Google results page, you're a brand, your consumer brand or your B2B brand, and whenever anyone thinks about your brand or when they go to the website, it invokes certain images. You're a luxury brand, so everybody's thinking about this luxurious experience that they're going to have with your brand, right? But when I look at Google, there's no images and no video. That's like an insight that's like an instant insight. And every single person that you tell that to, when you sit, they're like, oh, wow. They can't see the thing that's not there. So I think that's an example. And I would say for the fun is that almost every time we have a client, it's different insight. Like there's certain common ones that we say, well, this is a little unusual that I'm seeing this, or I'm a little surprised that I see that, but I can usually figure out why that's there. But then the real question is what are the unique insights that I'm going to find here? I think it's just it's a lot of curiosity and questioning and analysis. And maybe it's the kind of thing we can start. I did actually use this for ChatGPT. I used ChatGPT for this once. I was talking to a talent agency recently, and just before I got on the call, I took their Google search results page. I dumped the entire thing, just cut and paste it, just the text from it, paste it into ChatGPT, and I said, based only on this information, what do you know? And it gave me a synopsis of what it figured out about this company. It was almost like the first paragraph of a Wikipedia page. And then I said, what other information would you like to know that you feel is missing? And in the case of this talent agency, it came back and it said, I want to know who their key clients are. And so I got on, it was missing from the page. So I got on the call and I said, I was playing with ChatGPT. ChatGPT says that the piece of information most missing on the first page of your results is who are your clients. And they paused and they said, that's what everyone wants to know. Everyone wants to know that. I said, so, why are you not showing it? They said, well, we have a problem. We can't list who our top talent is because A, if we lose one of them, we got to drop it. Second of all, the other talents are going to be like, well, why did you choose these ones and not the other ones? So we talked about a solution for them, which was why don't we help them surface a page that already exists that highlights some of these top talents? Meaning don't create a new page for this, but since this is something that seems to be missing, people seem to want it. What can we do to help surface that content either on their site or someone else's site? So that's the kind of insights we come up with. And I think increasingly I'm going to be using AI as an assistant, not as I don't think it'll be the solution, but I think that as an assistant to help me, again, to do the same thing. What am I missing? What am I not seeing?
I think I am completely aligned with you. I think it's definitely a sorcerer's apprentice. It's not the sorcerer itself.